guys, on Xavi Simons, today some messages from the player, removing Red Bull Leipzig from his Instagram bio, so quite a clear message. Someone said, but no, this is not a transfer message, it is a transfer message. Xavi Simons wants to go. Xavi Simons doesn't extend the contract. 2 years left on his contract. He's not going to sign a new deal. So he's sending quite a clear message. He doesn't want to stay at Leipzig. He wants to go. Chelsea are in very advanced talks over personal terms, as I always told you. So it's not a problem. Xavi Simons wants to go to Chelsea, for sure. So now the two clubs remain in direct contact. The two highest people at the club on both sides, Red Bull Group and Chelsea, discussing on the transfer fee. The negotiation continues. Then, of course,
Nico situation. At the moment, we also those arrived 2 strikers, both of them in USA, Joao and Liam. So we see what's happened. Until the window transfer is open, anything can happen in terms of player arrive, and then anything can happen in terms of player leave.
Now, Mark, we've spoken a lot about how much Nicholas Jackson will cost. Michael just alluded to it. Are they going to get the 80 to 100 million that Chelsea have said they want?
The short answer is no, but Florian Wirtz was 150 million euros. Liverpool paid 137.5. And there are other players out there. Victor Gyökeres had a 100 million euro release clause, and it ended up being between 60 and 70.
Which is Chelsea's point. They're going, well, the others are going for this, so we want this for Jackson.
Yes. Now, is Nicholas Jackson worth more than Victor Gyökeres? Is he worth more than Hugo Ekitike? It just depends. Ultimately, someone is only worth, A, what someone's willing to pay, and B, what someone's willing to sell. So I think their stance at the beginning of this is going to be market forces. Everyone wants a number 9. He's just had 2 solid seasons in the Premier League, nothing exceptional, but he has scored goals in the most difficult league in the world. So therefore, he's worth what we value him at 80 to 100 million. Whether they get that is another point, but their starting point is quite bullish. This is what we want.
But you know what? You look at who Chelsea have sold this summer. It's all about bullish. You can understand why. Noni Madueke, 48.5 million. Amanda Broja, we're going to talk later in the show, 20-odd million. Georgi Petrovic, around 25 million. João Felix, 26.5 million. Kieran Dewsbury Hall, barely played yet last season, to around 28 million. No wonder they're a bit bullish. Or for me, though, if we're talking maybe a Nicholas Jackson to a potential Newcastle, he's not an upgrade on Alexander Isak. Absolutely not, but who is?
But is he any different from Benjamin Sesko, who they were wanted? Numbers, stats-wise, Mark?
Stats-wise, numbers-wise, no, they'd be very similar. And again, like Benjamin Sesko's doing it in a league that's not as difficult to score goals in as the Premier League, and that adjustment period going into English football can always hit players hard at times. And Benjamin Sesko, like, I don't know, Rasmus Højlund, might struggle a little bit at first. Would it be fair to say Didier Drogba didn't quite have the impact at first, but then became a machine? Yeah. So therefore, you'd have to say, well, you don't know how this one's going to fall. But Chelsea are perfectly within their rights. They paid around £35 million for him. That was his release clause from when he came out of La Liga. So they're looking at it thinking, right, A, we're going to double our money, give or take, which is great business. B, we know that there are a lot of clubs that are desperate, absolutely desperate for a number 9, and there's very few, if any, out there now. We know that all the big hitters we were talking about on the 1st of June have now gone to their respective clubs.
So he becomes more valuable as time goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. Less of a gamble. He knows the language. He knows the league. He knows the country, he's settled. So therefore, these are all things in Chelsea's armoury that say, well, these are all the gambles you don't have to take with this particular player. He's got 8 years left on his current Chelsea deal. So therefore, they hold the cards, and they know that people need a number 9.
If he was to leave Chelsea, he is banned for the opening day for his red card at Newcastle.
We know Chelsea want Alejandro Garnacho. How much do United want for him?
They want around £50 million. Now, that's interesting because obviously he's got bags of potential, but it's clear that he wants a fresh challenge. Ruben Amorim constantly says it, and Manchester United are now expecting formal offers for the Chelsea target. So, look, we did allude to it at the start of the show, with people saying, goodness me, Man United are spending money. That is one player where you would get decent figure from.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, indeed. Sticking with Chelsea, Levi Colwill, we now know is injured. Does that mean, Mark, Chelsea have to go into the market and get a defender?
Well, the good thing about Levi Colwill is that he could play multiple positions. Left back, left side of a back 3, left side is centre back. So the fact that they're going to be losing him for some time is a real blow to Enzo Maresca. Chelsea's ability to find players, sign players and spend money in the transfer window is there for all to see. They've been very clever with their accounts, so they've got a lot of headroom when it comes to PSR. Do they want to go into the window? Possibly. Could they afford to? Definitely. Will they? Probably. They are a club that is basically, I always look at Chelsea right now, I'm so intrigued as to how they develop. Club World Cup champions, Champions League football. They've really started to develop back to the Chelsea that we have seen over the last 20 years under Roman Abramovich. And it feels like there is two sides to that club. There are players that they sign to try and go into that first team, and there are players that they sign that they see as really good market value, and actually we can sell him and make a profit because we're a really clever business. And that's probably how they identify the players they want to sign. So I definitely think defensively they are a little bit short. They would be looking at options, but again, is the right player out there at the right price?
Mark, I'm just being told you've got some breaking news for us. What have you got?
Yeah, I teased a little bit of breaking news.
Smart to set him against, but he isn't coming in as a prolific, like you say, 50, 60, 70 goal player who you think is going to hit the ground running. It's going to take a lot of work. And like Jack said, there is so much pressure on these players at Manchester United to do that. Cunha and Mbeumo looked quite sharp on Manchester United's pre-season tour, but the team did still look lacking in that number 9 position. So whoever comes in to play up front, there is pressure on them. But also I think there's still pressure as well to maybe bring in a number 6, because Manchester United are really lacking in that area of the pitch as well. So I don't necessarily think that this will be the missing piece of the jigsaw for Ruben Amorim if he was to bring in a number 9, whether that is Sesko, which obviously they hope it's going to be. So it's going to be interesting to see what United decide to do in the last few weeks of the window.
An interesting time in the window. Charlotte, Jack, thanks very much for now. We will talk about Jack Grealish's future next. When we return, we will look at more of the sports stories in the morning's papers, including this in the Telegraph that calls new Arsenal striker Victor Gyökeres a goal pig. We'll explore what that means next. You're watching Back Pages tonight. It's welcome back to Charlotte Dunker from The Times and The Sun's Jack Rosser. Let's now talk about Jack Grealish and come to you, Charlotte. Plenty on the back pages about his future, including the Star, their headline loner, as Everton try and tie up this deal for Jack Grealish. How much of a coup would it be for Everton if they could lure Grealish from Manchester City?
Yeah, it would be absolutely great for them. I think obviously in an attacking sense, what Grealish can bring, he can bring that flair. I think for him as well, he would have the freedom to express himself, which so many people have said has been the reason why it's not gone as to plan in the last 18 months for him at Manchester City, that the structure that Pep wants him to play with and the instruction that he's got to play under doesn't allow him to express himself in the way we saw him play when he was at Aston Villa, for example. So if Everton can get that sort of player in their team, then it would be absolutely amazing. Obviously, they're desperate to get bodies through the door. Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall's been the latest to sign, but I think he's their 5th signing of the summer. David Moyes in America was saying they needed 9 to 10 new signings through the door, ideally, obviously, before the start of the season. So they're halfway there to getting to that number. Getting Grealish there would undoubtedly be the biggest name out of the signings that they've made so far. I think at the moment, it seems like it would be a deal to suit all parties. It's clear that Manchester City are willing to listen to offers to him. He didn't go to the Club World Cup. He has been training with a personal trainer this summer to make sure he's in the best physical position that he can be in so he can hit the ground running. Obviously, it's a World Cup year. He's going to be determined to prove himself to Thomas Tuchel and push his way into the team. So I think that could really help Everton as well. They struggled for goals a bit last season. He can definitely, like I said, bring that flair and creative attacking spark into the team. So yeah, I think it'd be a really great move for them if they can get it done. But I don't think that it's that as close as it sounds yet. I think there's a lot of negotiation to happen. He's obviously on a lot of wages. Can Everton afford all of his wages? Probably not. How much are Manchester City going to pay of that? I think all these